Today I want to talk about experimentation, consistency, contrast, intuition, and wisdom. So, when it comes to fields, when you're first starting out, chances are you're not going to know what you're doing, what's working, what's effective, how to manage your energy body, your nervous system, how to discern when, where to use certain fields, etc. And this is where, again, experimentation is key, because, again, I'll say every person's different. But then also, of where I recognize that I do need to put out more content and more material speaking about field usage and field applications. Because the 40 or so minutes or hour when me and JT talk about things isn't enough to really go through all the layers sufficiently. It's better when I ramble sometimes. So, I've said this before, but usually my style or method of approaching fields is either, well, it's not either or, it's a mixture, but of where I'll have, a stack of between, let's say, 5 and 20 fields, and I just have it, for the most part, 90% of the time, just, on shuffle and loop throughout the day. Not at night with that stack, but that has various things, whether it be for grounding, for Jing Qi Shen, androgens, myostatin, nutrition, astro, symbiotes, etc. Intelligence. And when I'm doing those periods of time, it's a very good insurance policy, per se, in having such a broad scope of things, right? The same way that taking Irish sea moss or shilajit is a good insurance policy on minerals. Which I'm still learning and discovering more when it comes to nutrition, because I've seen too many people who aren't supplementing and they're just eating fruit, not even herbs, and they're doing well. But again, I still have growth to do and still have healing to do of my own. But I digress. So, from that very logical standpoint, for the new person to spirituality, metaphysics, morphics, having, a micro and macronutrient field diet that is broad and expansive, probably, and I know for myself it does, it gives a more peace of mind, because you kind of have all your bases covered in a very broad way. So, there's not really many gaps potentially, because there's so much to it, right? It's like consuming Irish sea moss. I mean, just all the most nutrient dense foods combined, and it's just a lot. But again, there's the twist of this, is it is a lot, and so to integrate, let alone resonate, with each of those fields on many different dimensions, but primarily, again, from the morphic resonance standpoint, and then also from the cymatic standpoint, when you're constantly changing frequencies, again, you're constantly changing frequencies, so you're not as consistent. Again, zero entropy is ungrounded people just from a couple loops in a row. So that's where the other side of the coin of just doing one field at a time, similar to like just doing one fruit at a time. Because again, we know that when it comes to digestion, it begins in the mouth. And so the saliva, as soon as it interacts with whatever you're putting inside and you're chewing, or even just putting your juice around your mouth, it's telling your stomach what enzymes and what ratios it needs to prepare in order to metabolize and process this one thing as often as possible. So again, the more things that you're putting in your, like again, a big salad or a meal with proteins, fats, and carbs all together, your body has to do a lot more chemistry. And you can't compartmentalize your stomach of, here, you digest the carbs over here, and you digest the fats, and you digest the protein. Like, no, like it becomes this amalgamation, this, soup. So it's not really an option. And the same thing is true for, the fields. If you're taking in a bunch of different energies, there is also the risk of not having the proper metabolism and digestion to be able to integrate and process all of those fields. So that's where coming down to just doing one or like under 3 can be better, because, like a mono diet or a restricted diet, because it takes that other factor of, again, not digesting things or processing or integrating, it takes that variable out of the equation, because we've gotten things very concentrated. I'm not even trying to do a lot of these puns or double entendres, but it's fun to do and fun to self-witness and observe it. So if I'm listening to just Yes Yenim Gloria Padre for 48 hours straight, every single time I go through that loop of the field, but then also every micro loop of, okay, exposure, experience, sensations, feelings, thoughts, all right, awareness, go through. It's a much faster turnover cycle because you're just staying with that one thing, right? Because again, just as if I just keep on putting watermelon in my mouth just keeps on signaling to the stomach like, hey, we're taking in watermelon. Keep the same enzymes, keep the same ratios. We're getting digestion smooth. But when you start to mix things up, that's when the pipes can get backed up. So, on the note of picking a singular field, I think it's also important to note that if you're going to do just one field or one fruit, or one thing, make it a good one, right? If you're going to do just one exercise for a month, what would it be? Well, would it be squats? Would it be deadlifts? Would it be running? Would it be rucking? Would it be curls? Would it be dips? And every person's answer is going to be different. And that's another thing. People have different motivations and desires, what they get from fields. Some guys can't fathom why I don't give a fuck about my hair on my head. And they just assume that, I must have that same desire they do. And no, I've had a shaved head now for a very long time, and I like my skull. I have good bone structure, and the tattoos just accentuate it. So, just as I might think that most people are going to want spiritual stuff, most people don't. That's not where they're at. They want material benefits. That's fine. Wherever you're at. But anyways, for me right now, like, Yes Yenim Gloria Padre is a spiritual symbiote field. And it's funny to observe within myself my own limiting beliefs pop up while I'm utilizing it, even in the presence of real-time tangible shifts in reality and performance. And I'll demonstrate. Yesterday, I biked 10 miles, and I did so without opening my mouth once, without swallowing my spit, as I had two MRDR murder nitric oxide pouches in my lip, which by not swallowing saliva also going to enhance the transbucal, absorption, and I butchered that word, not transbucal, but the plasmal, subcutaneous, whatever. You get what I mean. Increases that osmosis in the mouth, because again, something like pine pollen tincture, their gut will destroy the androgens, but if you keep it in your mouth, you'll absorb the androgens in your bloodstream. Anyways, that was after yesterday where I changed my necklace with some modifications, and then also I just looped yesterday on Gloria Padre yesterday after I did that, the modifications in the necklace. And seeing in real time how, again, like, I was going up some steep hills, and also I'm doing this in a fixed gear bicycle. So I don't have gears to shift to make things easier depending on the terrain. It's just one gear. I should have recorded my stats because it was a good ride. There were some good hills. There were some hills where it really forced me to dig in deep. But again, going back to the disbelief. Part of me, even as I'm still like 36 hours into just looping one field, there's times where doubt comes in. Like, well, I'm not listening to my other symbiote, which has watermelon and sea moss and pine pollen. Like, what if I start to get emaciated and I run out of Jing? Or what if I don't have androgens from my one androgen field? But this is the same reason why I also have Exorcism Rite 2.2.2 as the first field in the store. Because when we approach things from the spiritual dimension, everything else downstream and below will fall in the line. On the dietary piece and of the Jing, Qi, and Shen and whatnot, a lot of people aren't able to ascend in terms of their dietary practice or modalities and process of getting energy because they have entities of the physical or spiritual form. Because again, they don't want to lose their supply. They don't want you to go up in vibration, because to do so means they're going to lose their supply and they're going to die. And again, you're going to become more conscious and start to eradicate them. But again, people who aren't even aware that they have these intruders and these invaders and these parasites, these demons and these spirits and these entities, they don't realize they're getting siphoned. They don't realize they're bleeding out this energy. So when they try to do things like prolonged fasting or long periods of exercise or eating more chronically or more light, it's difficult because they don't realize, they're not conscious of how much they're bleeding out. Whereas when we use Exorcism Rite nonstop, again, I'm not going to say you're going to be entity free right out the gate, or you're going to be clean as a whistle right after a week. Things take time still. There's a process. But you'll probably find that, again, like, I know for me, like, if I, like, doom scrolling, if I find myself ever falling into a loop of doom scrolling, I just play Exorcism Rite, or in this case now, Yeshiam Gloria Padre, like, it very quickly knocks that out. Because again, the phone's vampiric. Everything's fighting for your attention. So again, where attention goes, energy flows. Stuff's really valuable. So, contrast now in wisdom and experience. So I know I gave like two different, again, well, do you do bunch or do you just do one? I would say, again, if you're new, for the sake of your energetics and also developing energy sensitivity to fields, again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. We could argue to do just 1 to 3 fields because you're going to be able to pick up on the details more and feel into them more. Because again, you're getting that constant exposure. Or maybe again, maybe you need a variety of stimuli. Maybe you need a variety of different energies to interact with so you can learn the contrast between, like, even just for experimentation, like, having masculine and feminine yin and yang fields in a stack on loop and seeing if you can identify without even, like, knowing the audios or having them below your threshold of conscious perception just where you're not hearing them. See if you can tell which field's playing at each time. Because again, awareness is key when it comes to, again, interacting with them at higher and higher levels, because I don't think it's possible to get to the point of where you're just using, again, whether it be mono fruit dieting or mono field usage, unless you're aware, you're efficient, so meaning your body's clean, for the most part, or a high state of cleanliness. Because again, anything that's draining the hardware or software is going to just make it, you're not going to work with the field as much, and your body's not going to work as much. It's math. What else? But yeah, anyways. And last night I was up till 4 a.m., woke up at 8. I'm still looping it, and there's also just that, without going off on a tangent, some of my fields kind of remind me of psychedelics, of where it's good for you, but of where, like, it is showing you things or giving you sensations that you'd much rather not experience. But again, everything is always happening for you and for a reason. Gracias.